Hey everyone, it's George Whittam reporting for Whittam's World. This week it's all about the iPad. About time, right? We've had questions about the iPad piling up, so I figured I'd plow through a pile of them right now. I've got my little iPad mini, first generation right here, and I've got it already set up to screencast right onto my screen, so I'll be able to record what I'm doing and show you what I'm doing. Victoria Phelps's comes first, because really, her question is, what is your thoughts about an iPad Studio? Well, we're going to cover that, Victoria. And which Apogee microphone would you recommend, the One or the mic? Well, Apogee makes two microphones for the iPad. One isn't a microphone itself. It's just a little large diaphragm condenser studio mic. And the other one is an audio interface and microphone combined, and that's the One. The Apogee mic works just fine. It just has some issues that I'm not so happy about. It's extremely easy to pop and get plosives with, and it doesn't have a headphone jack or a shock mount. And it doesn't have a high-pass filter. All things that I find to be very, very helpful when recording voiceover. And so you have to be very careful about how you use that mic, and it requires a lot of processing after the fact to get a good sounding final result. So that's one reason I don't like the Apogee mic all that much. However, if you want something extremely portable that you can throw in your bag with an iPhone or an iPad, nothing else really comes that close yet in terms of size and performance. So that makes it kind of stand alone for now. The Apogee One is a microphone and mic interface combined, and it actually works pretty well. I have some audio samples here that I recorded on the iPad a while ago when I happen to have one. Let's compare what it sounds like to use the microphone built into the Apogee One versus the microphone built into an iPad. And this is the microphone built into the Apogee One, from about the same distance, about 5 to 6 inches away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Apogee One for iOS. Internal microphone. This is the microphone built into the iPad mini from about 4 inches away, 2 inches to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Surprising how good that mic in the iPad mini, the one built in, the tiny little mic in the end here, sounds compared to the Apogee One's own microphone, isn't it? I was surprised. But what if you plug a professional mic in like this AT875R? What's that going to sound like in comparison plugged into the Apogee One? Recording test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is using a AT875R plugged directly into an Apogee One for iOS, into an iPad mini. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So as you can hear, the audio quality overall isn't dramatically different between that and the mic built into the iPad and the mic built into the Apogee One. But the big difference is its directionality. So the room around me is nowhere near as reverberant. And I'm sitting in a living room when I did that recording because I wanted to sit in a less than ideal space so you could really hear what these mics would sound like. So thanks, Victoria, for that. Robert asks, thanks to studying the effects stacks you made for me in the standard version, I have learned how to tweak the effects in standard TwistedWave, but I have no clue how to use the iPad's TwistedWave interface for the effects like high-pass filter, parametric equalizer, dynamics processor, etc. A brief run-through of what you would do on an iPad would be really helpful. Well, here you go. Let me show you the basic filters built into the iPad. Normalize is pretty straightforward. It works just like normal normalize that you would see. Peak normalize mode is its default. There is no RMS. You can set it to -3, which is my favorite. Click apply, and it applies the normalization to the whole file. Now, the next thing I would normally do is I would apply a high pass filter. So that's under filters, not under EQ. And you find the high pass filter there. I will usually choose a cutoff frequency that's somewhere between 80 and 120, depending on the issues in the recording, how much rumble there is, how booming the booth is, how bottom heavy the mic is. And once I find the frequency I want by recording test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is using a AT875R plugged directly into an Apogee One for iOS, into an iPad mini. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. More fullness to my voice. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And this is the microphone built into the Apogee One from about the same distance, about 5 to 6 inches away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Since the mic built into the Apogee 1 is kind of thin, I can add resonance to the recording and it will boost up the low end. After I add resonance or a high-pass filter, I might use some dynamics processing, and I basically will start with my threshold around -21 and my headroom around 20 or so for the compressor. Again, I set these by ear, so if you want to know how to set yours, you can send me your audio, vostudiotech.com, and I can create processing settings that will work for your voice and tell you what to do on your version of iOS TwistedWave. Expansion ratio around 2:1 works pretty well for reducing background noise. And the threshold, well, that totally depends on the amount of background noise you have. But when you're out in the field where it's not the quietest, between -40 and 45 often works pretty well. So I'll apply that to my processing, my audio. And that reduces the peaks in the audio and it reduces the background noise. And those are the tools that I would usually use. If I have to deal with sibilance and need to find the frequency where the sibilance is kind of muddying up or kind of ruining my sound, I'll use the Parametric Equalizer for that by finding the center frequency where the sibilance occurs. And how I do that is I will choose the audio I want to work with. Let's try this range here. I'll go to my parametric. Then I will boost with a high Q. High Q is much more precise EQ. It's a sharp curve. I'll boost and preview. The microphone built into the iPad mini from about 4 inches away, 2 inches to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Once I find that frequency that's really sticking out at me and sort of a really sharp sound, I will reduce the gain on that by 5, maybe 7, 8 dB. And then I'll apply that. The microphone built into the iPad mini from 1, 2, 3. So I'm removing some of the sharpness or sibilance from the recording. The microphone. That's what I use the parametric EQ for. Again, these things I'm doing by ear, and there's no scientific, go color by number way to do processing. But if you use some of these starting settings I'm using, it shouldn't lead you too far off the beaten path. So that should give you a start. Lastly, from Dave Townsend, I'm reasonably proficient with TwistedWave, but there is one frustration in the editing process. I would like to be able to slow down the playback speed so that I can, with total precision, know where the edit should start and end. If one can slow it down, I do not know how to do it. So here's the deal. There is no ability to slow down playback while you're editing. That's called jog or shuttle on some DAWs. Some DAWs also have scrub, like TwistedWave on the desktop. You can't do that on the iPad version. It's just one of the weaknesses of using an iPad for editing versus a desktop program. It has a lot less features. But if you want to get in there and be precise, just pinch and zoom so you can get real close to the point where you want your edit to start, like that. And this is, and yes, it's a little annoying. And this is, but with a little bit of practice, you can find your start point and your end point. So here's my start point. Let's drag over and find the end point. So I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit to make that edit by pinching, 2-finger pinch. I'm going to now zoom in on that point and make sure that start point of the edit is right where I want it. And if that's exactly what I want, make a little adjustment. Now I can make my edit. I'm going to hit the X for delete. 7, 8, 9, 10. And this is the microphone. So that's how I make a precise edit. I zoom. I don't have that speed control available to me on an iPad. And you asked about EQ and limiting, so hopefully I already addressed that topic for you a bit. And is TwistedWave the best iOS software for recording and editing on the iPad? I think that it is at this point. There are some more complex programs out there that give you multi-track capabilities like you would see in Cubase or Pro Tools. And yeah, you can get really crazy with functions. Yeah, you can find more powerful tools. That is for sure. But if your job is to be a voice actor and you want to be quick and you don't want to be bogged down in features and complexity, but you still need to get a professional sounding result, I still think TwistedWave is the best tool. When there's a better tool out there that I've had experience with, you guys will be the first to know. I'll certainly let you know on Whittam's World. Thanks for watching. This has been George Whittam. If you'd like to have one of your questions answered on a future Whittam's World, do send it in to whittamsworld@edgestudio.com. If you got tech support needs, if you want a custom processing preset for your iOS TwistedWave, I can do that for you. Go over to vostudiotech.com and I'll get you set up. And if you just want to call in and ask questions of our great helpful staff, 212-868-EDGE or 3343. Thanks for watching. This has been George Whittam reporting for Whittam's World. I'll see you guys next time.